Well, it is the close of their year, the Gregorian calendar. It's the close of their year. And I just want to look at some of the things that's gone on this year. There's been a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of suddenlies. I mean, in case you guys haven't realized how many suddenlies there have been. So many that you just really you can't count them. A lot. It's been a lot. But I just wanted to say, to everybody who is under that calendar, wow, yikes, lots of stuff is going on. As we look at some of the things that's going on right now in the world, a lot of things. I want to take a look while a lot of our attention is focused on, hey, happy new year, happy new year. I want to look at a few things and I want to share that with you guys because there's been a lot of information that we probably have overlooked. A lot of stuff going on in North Korea. And I want to bring that to you first of all. Let's look at that. And let's see. Hey, Trump said, happy happy New Year, Trump said. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the things that's going on in North Korea because there's a lot of stuff that's happening. And I think that once we get into these time frames, we get into a lot of stuff that we sort of overlook. I'm going to give you the whole screen and let's together, hey, Alan, let's together just read some of these things, okay? Now, North Korea fires 3 ballistic missiles after unprecedented year of tests. Well, they're yet unprecedented, of course, but the deal is that they keep trying. And the one thing we know about someone or an individual or a group of folks that keep trying is eventually they are unfortunately successful. So let's just take a look at this. All right. What is this? Google, please go away. Who is this? Sweet Tooth Sabrina Carpenter. Okay, what has she got going on? Looks like she's got some fragrance. Don't even know who she is, but can't get to the story because Sabrina Carpenter is taking place. So let me shrink it down some so I can at least read the important part. All right, so North Korea fired 3 ballistic missiles toward the sea east of the Korean peninsula on Saturday, the South Korean military said. The launches were the latest in an unprecedented number of missile tests conducted by North Korea this year, as Pyongyang presses on with weapons development amid speculation it could test a nuclear weapon for a 7th time. Let me tell you guys something. I did a study, a personal study with the book of Daniel and the book of Daniel with Ronnie the other night. And I just want to say that a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing now, after going through that exhaustive study with him, none of this stuff means anything. We went over the 70 weeks. That's what Ronnie Mann and I went over. Shalom. Hey, we name. So when Ronnie and I went over the 70 weeks, it's a trip. Because if you look at it according to the way that it's written biblically, we are literally, give or take 25, 30 years left. I mean, if you look at it biblically. And the word tells us that no man will know the day or the time or any of that stuff. But the truth is that when you begin to dig deep into it, because remember, Ronnie broke it down a while ago when he talked about no man knows the time or the day. If you guys who follow the channel remember, that was during a specific time frame because the feast that it was lined up with, that specific scripture, was lined up with a feast, and the feast day that it was referencing balances between a couple of different days. Okay, so let's just keep that in our quiver. But according to this particular story, North Korea did fire 3 ballistic missiles after unprecedented year of tests. And like I said a few minutes ago, if you try and try again, the only people who try and try again and finally come up with something good is the people who failed a few times. So the 3 short-range missiles were fired from around 8 a.m. local time from North Hwanghae province south of the capital of Pyongyang, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said. This is what they keep saying. Now, all three flew at an altitude of around 100 kilometers, equivalent to about 62 miles, and covered a range of around 350 kilometers, which would be equivalent to 217 miles. Japan's defense ministry said. Now, South Korean military also said the missiles flew about 350 kilometers. North Korea's ballistic missile launch is a grave provocation that undermines peace and stability on North Korean peninsula, as well as the international community, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said, condemning it as a clear violation of the UN Security Council resolution and urging it to stop it immediately. They're saying, stop it immediately. Just let it go. Oh, I did, Brittany. And it comes out it was somebody calling from home, which is the 601 area code for us. Brittany's so cute. I thought you had a phone call. I did. So it was from a 601 area code. My phone number prefix is a 678. This gal that called with the 601 area code said, I must have butt dialed you. And so then after that, I remembered, I put up a show and I did not want to forget it because I put it up. I'm glad you're here, though. I love you, Princess. I always call Brittany B Princess. And if you guys have not checked out her channel, please do. She's a hoot. And what I like about Brittany is that she is a lot like me. Brittany is a night owl. So you'll find that Brittany's shows come on in the evening time, late at night, early morning. So if you've not checked out Brittany B's channel, please do so. I consider her to be a friend. I consider her to be a sweetheart. And if you guys can, please go over there and check it out. Hey, Daryl Long. So now as we look at this, it's telling us, and the reason why I want to bring this to light is because of the fact that these are some of the things that we don't look at when they're throwing all the information that we're receiving from them. Now, the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command said the latest launches did not pose an immediate threat to U.S. personnel or territory or to Washington allies, but they highlighted the de-establishing impact of North Korea's weapons program. You know, North Korea has been trying for quite some time to get us a little rattled. And, you know, I don't really care too much for what we're doing in Washington. But what I will say is that I do stand with our country, not with the F-dom that we do sometimes take part in, but definitely anytime it comes to like threats or things like that, I like to say, really? Seriously? You really want some? All right. The launches came a day after North Korea's defense ministry announced that it had successfully conducted a test flight of a solid propellant space launch vehicle. On Monday, 5 North Korean drones crossed into South Korea, prompting the South's military to scramble fighter jets and attack helicopters to try to shoot them down in the first such intrusion since 2017. Relations between North Korea and U.S. ally South Korea have grown more tense since South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol's conservative government took over in May, promising a tougher stance toward the North. Not counting Saturday's launch, North Korea has fired around 70 ballistic missiles this year, or in 2022. Yonhap Agency said, including about 8 intercontinental ballistic missiles, or as we know, ICBMs. North Korean state media KCNA had yet to mention the launches, but said that on Saturday, the leader Kim Jong-un had presided over a party meeting on Friday to decide policy and strategy for 2023. Here's what I think. Something is most assuredly ramping up. There is something most assuredly breaking down. There really is. And so for me, when I look at this kind of stuff, I say, well, these are not things that we need to discount, but we certainly need to consider. There's something that we need to consider. Meanwhile, there was a Chinese jet that came within 10 feet of military aircraft. And to me, I see that as a definite threat. But okay, we're not. It could just be that all of these great countries are in connection with each other. And to control all of the masses, it could be that a lot of them are starting the scuttlebutt. You know, the scripture that says that there will be wars and rumors of war? Well, this could be a rumor of war. Meanwhile, Chinese jet came within 10 feet of U.S. military craft, of a U.S. Air Force aircraft in the contested South China Sea last week and forced it to take evasive maneuvers to avoid a collision in international airspace. The United States military said day before yesterday on Thursday. I don't know who this is, but okay. Let's see. The close encounter followed the United States has called a recent trend of increasingly dangerous behavior by Chinese military aircraft. And if anybody is like me, you guys know what it is as it relates to China and America. We are one and the same. We are definitely one and the same. Because if you consider the fact that the United States government has been in bed, hey, Sandy, has been in bed with China, Rage Against the Machine, for quite some time, then you automatically know where I'm headed. I don't believe that anything that we hear that's coming out of China has anything to do with okay, here you go, sweetie. Has anything to do with them attacking us or coming against us. I think it has everything to do with them attempting to prevent us from finding that they generally are in ownership of the United States. If you guys remember a while ago, we covered some of the information regarding China owning a lot more than Bill Gates of the United States farmland. I also covered the fact that China was not only in charge of or ownership of some of the United States farmland, but that it was sending it out to itself. Did you catch that? They were sending a lot of the produce and things that they were growing here in the States to themselves. Yeah, right. So let's just go on ahead and look. And that's the reason why I don't really take a lot of the Chinese, United States fluffery seriously. For those of you who follow the Gregorian calendar, well, Happy New Year, out of respect. You know, my new year doesn't start until maybe March, April of next year. But for those of you who do, Happy New Year. For those who are on the West Coast, for those who are here in the Central time frame, you got about 8 minutes. And you may want to go on ahead and toast that loved one. Nothing wrong with that. If that's what you do what you do, and I support it. Now, the United States has raised the issue with the Chinese government, a separate U.S. official said. The Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. did not immediately respond to a request for a comment. In the past, China has said that the United States sending ships and aircraft into the South China Sea is not good for peace. U.S. military planes and ships routinely carry out surveillance operations and travel through the region. China claims vast swaths of the South China Sea that overlapped with the exclusive economic zones of Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Trillions of dollars in trade flow every year through the waterway, which also contains rich fishing grounds and gas fields. In a meeting with his Chinese counterpart in November, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Now, let me pause for a second because we can. It's late at night. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you seen Lloyd Austin do any live interviews? Anybody in the chat? I'm going to wait 2 minutes or 2 seconds, actually. Put it in the chat. I've got a 10-second delay. Has anybody seen Lloyd Austin do a live interview? I'll hold. I'm waiting for you. Has anybody seen it? Lloyd Austin do a live interview? I have no callers, which means possibly not. Possibly not. But Lloyd Austin raised the need to improve crisis communications and also noted that he called dangerous behavior by Chinese military planes. Despite tensions between the United States and China, U.S. military officials have long sought to maintain open lines of communication with their Chinese counterparts to mitigate the risk of potential flare ups or deal with any accidents. Australia's Defense Department said in June that a Chinese fighter aircraft dangerously intercepted an Australian military surveillance plane in the South China Sea region in May. Australia said that the China jet flew close in front of the RAAF aircraft and released a bundle of chaff containing small pieces of aluminum that were ingested into the Australian's aircraft engine. I think that, well, you guys tell me what you think, but I just think that a lot of this bolstering by China is done for the aesthetics. I think that a lot of the stuff that's going on with China is really just for a conversation. And the reason why I say that is because they need China to be busy. They need it to be busy so that it throws us off and makes us all, as the citizenry, think, well, they're concerned with China. They're not concerned with China. We will find out very soon in the next couple of years who China is to the United States. You see what I'm saying? That's exactly what I think. That's exactly what I think. And then I also want to pause here because what I want to ask you guys, totally off of this topic, what did you think about the passing of the Pope? What did you all think about that? Because this is just a casual conversation. That's what this is. That's what this is. This is a casual conversation. And I want you guys to tell me what you think about his death. Because whether people know it or not, he was still living in that area. He was still living on the grounds because he was the first ever pope to allegedly, and I say allegedly, you guys, because I don't believe a lot of the stuff that they say. I'm the person that believes opposite. Anything somebody gives me from that regime, as it were, I believe opposite. So I believe that his death, as well as all the other people that they allowed to pass away or that they told us about. I'm really weird, you guys. You'll find that I don't believe that a lot of people that they say pass away when they passed. I think that they hold off on the date until it makes significance. But then again, that's just me. Okay. Maureen Olson says, I don't even know who Lloyd Austin is. You see, don't forget Rage Against the Machine, Pele as well. They announced that Pele was ill a while back, maybe like a couple of weeks ago, and that it led up to today. But I think because it all goes in threes, there's something that we probably are not privy to. That's how I see it. I think a lot of times when they push these things to us, we're not privy to the significance that they put on it. We're just not. Hold on, what was that? Somebody just shot rounds of bullets outside the house here. And I tell you what, folks just don't understand what you're supposed to do with weaponry. Okay? Okay? You see what I mean? And Barbara Walters. Dr. Hound says, what you gonna do about it? Prior to that, Dr. Hound said, we in January. What you gonna do about it? Who can do anything about any of the stuff? But what I would like to say, my Crypto Pie William, how are you and how have you been? You guys, this is just a random conversation with you. This is not like anything special or planned or any information. I'm just going over a couple of the news things that we have and that we've been talking about in the know, those who are in the know. I truly and honestly believe that what we see here with with China is simply because they need to pretend as if we are not one. But if you look at it over the past several months, over the past several years, United States has slowly but surely become China. As to where our, you know, things that we had basically stated that we had the right to freedom of speech, right to privacy, all of the things that we have or that we have enjoyed the luxury of have been turned on us, and it ends up being a lot like China. Now, what I will say is that China is going through a lot of stuff right now. But if you remember back in the very beginning of the 2020 situation before we shut our country down, China was going through a lot of stuff, and that they were actually showing on video some of the things that they were dealing with. A country that can shut down their internet and can shut down their communication at the drop of a hat was allowing people to give long videos about the experiences they were having dealing with said crisis. Now, when I look at it, we're now getting more information from that country that shows us a lot of information that they're experiencing there. You see that? And so my question is, how much of it is true? Because eventually the United States followed every single thing that was going on there in China. So are we going to be doing the same thing next? Are we going back to a, cover up your face, lockdown type of situation? And this is just a question. I'm not saying that I have like an inroad into anything or a pipeline giving out information. I'm simply asking a question. Whenever we see China do something, it seems like the rest of the world, the United States in particular, seems to follow suit. And so when I see things like this telling us, well, they got really close to us, China's planes, China's fighter jets got really close to us. At what point do we realize that getting close is not to be tolerated? Thank you so much, Watchful and Alert, for supporting the channel. I so appreciate it. You are actually the first person this year to support the channel, and I thank you so much for that. Thank you, thank you. So when we look at China, Watchful and Alert, when we see these kind of things, what does it really mean when they own the majority of our, not Bill Gates, they own a great deal of our land here that can grow food. Smithfield Foods was at one time owned by them, one of the largest pork companies and meat companies and meat plants. They own a bevy of companies here in the United States. Let's just lay it all out there, shall we? Let's lay it all out there. So you want us to believe that these are the bad guys, and yet you allow the quote unquote bad guys in your country? You guys are full of it, because we can see you. You're getting your palms greased with greed and money. Because of greed, you're getting your palms greased. And now you want us to get concerned when one of their planes brush up, allegedly, against one of ours. Now, I cry foul. I cry foul. I really do. That's just what I got to say. I cry foul. I don't believe any of it. Relations between China and the United States have been tense, lies, with friction between the world's two largest economies over everything from Taiwan and China's human rights record to its military's activity in the South China Sea. And I find it really amazing that America wants to be one of these people who are a proponent of human rights when they do so many things to their own citizenry. That's me just saying that allegedly. I'm not saying that, I'm just giving my opinion. Meanwhile, U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's trip to Taiwan in August infuriated China, which saw it as a U.S. attempt to interfere in its international affairs. China subsequently launched military drills near the island. The United States has no formal diplomatic relations with Taiwan, but is bound by law to provide the island with the means to defend itself. Well, is there any money left for that since we've given all of the money over to the Ukraine in what to me seems to be unique? It's just unique. Okay? The whole thing. Beautiful sunrises and sunsets. Hello, Lady M. How are you? My sister, Sandy Aaron. Hey, Wake Up, of course, is here with Rage Against the Machine. Hello, hello. All of the people are shooting their guns outside. All of them. They're all shooting. They shoot in. So I don't know. When I see stories like this, I'm just like, gee whiz, you guys are just running game. That's old-fashioned running game. That's what that means. Just old-fashioned running game. Russia is dismissive of Ukraine getting U.S. Patriot missiles. Everything we have been giving over there has been because we're running a proxy war. And again, this is my opinion. I'm still allowed that, aren't I? I better double check. Because I may not be allowed an opinion. This is allegedly, it's my opinion. Moscow said on Thursday that Ukraine acquiring Patriot missiles from the United States announced during President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Washington won't help settle the conflict or prevent Russia from achieving its goals. Though the Patriot air defense system is widely regarded as advanced, President Vladimir Putin dismissed it as quite old, telling reporters Russia would find a way to counter it. At the same time, he said that Russia wants an end to the war in Ukraine and that this would inevitably involve a diplomatic solution. Quote, Putin told reporters, "Our goal is not to spin the flywheel of military conflict, but, on the contrary, to end this war. We still strive for an end to this, and the sooner, the better, of course." Now, these comments drew quick U.S. skepticism. White House spokesperson John Kirby said Putin had, quote, shown absolutely zero indication that he is willing to negotiate. That's a quote and end quote. An end to the war that begun with Russia's invasion of Ukraine on February 24th. Can I just say this? We read all of this stuff, and I politely read a lot of it. Thank you so very much, we name. Thank you, baby. Number 2, woohoo. But you know what I feel, Cass? And we name, you gave me funds. Thank you. That was the CA and the dollar sign was a Cass. And, well, being a little bit, conflicted in what my eyeballs see, I want to say thank you for that, we name. But here's what I want to ask you. Do you see this as a bunch of drama? Because we all know, and this is my opinion, but I feel like we're the ones that's funding this whole thing. Like if anything goes from the Zelensky side to the Putin side, it's from us. Because we have literally, in my opinion, done a proxy war in a fight that has nothing to do with us, but everything to do with hiding the hand of those who have stole American money and sent it over there to cover up their dirt. I said that. Take a moment. That's what I think. That's what I think. I think all of this stuff, because we're coming up on a year, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget it. We are coming up on 1 year that America has been giving them money after money after money after money. I mean, goodness gracious. I showed you guys our debt calendar, our debt clock the other day. And I feel like what they're doing is just paying these people off and just sending money over there, really, honestly. Here's what I think. I think with the fact that all of them are doing all of these underground houses, underground resorts for a couple of $1 million, that what they're doing is they're just stocking up the money so they can convert it and have something they can spend in the future. Because a lot of those underground houses that a lot of the rich and famous are building have air conditioner. They've got electricity. They've got the appropriate amount of gas where needed. They've got even artificial outside pictures and large windows. So what I think is these cats know more than we know. Now I'm saying it. I'm saying it. These cats know more than we know. And what they're doing is they're running money over there so that they can do what they do. And then that'll be us. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Sandy, you can handle your business, sis. Handle all of your business in that chat. All of my mods have autonomy here. I never stifle any of my mods because my mods I know personally. And so my mods handle business the way that they need to. But what I want to say about this situation, especially with us giving all the money over there, we were doing a lot of stuff over there. And by we, I mean the individuals that we sent to Washington to represent us in one way or another. We're doing a lot of stuff out there. And while they were doing a lot of stuff out there, they were covering up a lot of things. Please remember that prior to this February of 2022 situation popping off, we knew a whole lot about the Ukraine that we didn't want to know, that we really did not want to know. You feel me? There was a lot going on. And because there was so much going on, we had to just sit back in the cut and take it. I seen them nice underground bunkers over 10 years ago, 40 Boom says. 40 Boom, hey, I appreciate you. Yeah. And now we just saw just recently, 40 Boom, that they're $2 million. And to a billionaire or to a millionaire, that ain't no money. Now that's something to the regular folk. That's something to the regular folk. Okay? You see, we name says, I am born and raised in Ukraine, and my family isn't very excited about my opinion about Ukraine, but the truth is the truth. And that's what we've got to start speaking, you guys. Because you know what I think? I think that when we comply with them telling us not to say X, Y, or Z, we're playing into their hands, and then they roll out more information that says you can't say what you want to say. But the truth is the truth. People may not like the truth, and that's all right. You don't have to like it. It is what it is. If it's daylight outside and everybody and their mama can see the sun shining, and you pop up on the scene, hey, Mars Full Goal, and you come up and you say, well, it's dark. Well, you know what? We're going to shout you down. That's what I think needs to happen in this next year. Victim Olympics, what's good? I think in 2023, we need to just go ahead and shout it down. When you coming up and you lying and you want us to shut up because you really the minority. Okay, you really truly are the minority. But you're trying to cajole the majority to see it your way, because if you don't get it your way, all you're going to have is a temper tantrum. So everybody better buck down because they upset. They angry. They mad. We better do what they say. Why? Please speak up this year, everybody. Speak up. Call it the truth. When it's a lie, say it's a lie. When it's the truth, call it the truth. We all know what's been going on over here, and all of us been sitting back kicking it because they say we can't say. But you know what? Truth is truth. No matter who says it. Even if your enemy speaks the truth, don't you know it's the truth? Yeah, you do. Y'all know, because y'all smart. Y'all smart. You guys are very, very intelligent. Okay? We know a whole lot about a lot that they would. Okay, you understand. You understand. It's time for us to just speak up, you guys. I'm tired of being quiet. I'm tired of using code words because I believe that once I start to cow down, once I begin to sort of bow to what they want me to do, that it's done for everybody. It is a wrap for everyone. That's what I think. So I'm going to call it like I see it. Yeah, there are a lot, Mars Fool's Goal. You're absolutely right. So Let's go down here. Zelensky returned to Ukraine buoyed by the support shown by President Joe Biden because he had already had to pay him off. These cats have all been in bed together. Sweaty feet, sweaty toes, all sweaty, stuck together. So, yeah, he got a lot of support from him, but that's the same support he was getting a long time ago. Okay? All right? On his trip to Washington on Wednesday, his first foreign journey since Russia invaded its neighbor. Quote, "We are coming back from Washington with good results, with something that will really help," he said on the Telegram messaging app. The Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, told reporters that there had been no signs of readiness for peace talks during Zelensky's visit, proving that the United States was fighting a proxy war with Russia. Quote, "To the last Ukrainian," close quote. "This is not conducive to a speedy settlement. Quite the contrary," Peskov said of the Patriot system. "And this cannot prevent the Russian Federation from achieving its goals during a special military operation using Russia's term for a war in which tens of thousands of people have been killed." All I have to ask is, why did Putin shut down his internet? And then why were we seeing so many YouTube creators that were showing us their grocery stores bristling with food, piled with products? I'm just going here, you guys. I may have to take this down later, but I just want to know, why were we seeing a lot of people from Russia showing their stores filled with products? Why? Why were we seeing all of the opposite? Now, when this cat shut his internet down, a lot of people had a lot of reasons or a lot of thoughts as to why he did it. Oh, he's being controlling. He's this or that. Nah, I think maybe he knows about the party and he don't want his people to be upset. Now we're getting a lot of information about Putin. Every few days, I get a little bit of information from the news feeds that say, oh, he's sick. Well, we knew about the whole prostate cancer that they threw out about a year ago. We knew about that. But really what I think is that we are dirtier than we thought we were. And that's the sad part, especially coming from somebody who loved this nation to where, I would argue with people about this country. But as I've grown older and as I began to really, really peel back the layers of the onion that is the United States, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't. I just don't anymore. Now, I do want to get into the Pope dying at age 95. I do want to get into that before I dig any more into this whole Ukrainian thing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. I want to pull that up. I want to talk about that. And I really want to take information from you guys. So this is from ABC News, talking about that he died at the age of 95. Now, I'm not sure if this story is going to cover some of the information that I saw a little while ago when this first happened. At about 5 or 6 in the morning, I got this news alert. Of course, I didn't run with it because it was my Sabbath, so I did not. But of course, it says that Pope Emeritus Benedict has died at his home in the Vatican at 95. Quote, "With sorrow, I inform you that Pope Emeritus Benedict has passed away at 9:34 in the Ecclesia Monastery in the Vatican. Further information will be provided as soon as possible," said the director of the Holy See Press, Matteo Brunai's statement. The Vatican press office has said that Pope Emeritus Benedict's body will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican from Monday through Wednesday for the faithful to pay their respects. His funeral is scheduled for Thursday at 9:30 a.m. local time in St. Peter's Square on the parvis of St. Peter's Basilica and will be presided over by Pope Francis, the Vatican press office said. Following the funeral mass, his coffin will be taken to the Vatican grottoes located below St. Peter's Basilica for burial. After his surprise resignation in February of 2013 at the age of 85, Benedict was only known to have left the tiny sovereign state briefly and was rarely seen in public. Now, let me say this. This was one of the popes that at his last fight or at his last chance, what he was about, and this was according to what they put out. Now, of course, I'm not into the whole Christendom thing because I know that that's who the Catholics are. But let me say this. And as much as Christianity has some positivity in it and has the things that, that are the pillars in there, right? He was one of the last popes. And technically, he was the last pope. He was the pope right now. Now that's technical, right? That's technical. Now you guys look that up. I'm not going to get into all of it. But I will tell you that technically he was still the pope. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. He was elected, Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger was named the 265th pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church on April 19, 2005 at the age of 78 and chose the name Benedict. And he was the first German pope in several centuries, to the second consecutive Italian pope, and the oldest pope elected since Clement in 1730, according to church records. He was elected in 4 ballots, which is considered relatively quick for the church. During his nearly 8 years as the Pope, the Catholic Church was the subject of several major scandals. A growing number of sexual abuse cases involving the clergy was perhaps the most damaging, and revealed a repeat pattern of how the church had dealt with these cases in the past, leaving the abusers and their superiors who covered up for them to go unpunished by law enforcement. Some Vatican watchers consider the revelations to be the greatest crisis the church has faced since the Reformation. The Reformation, y'all. Those who are very privy to the Reformation, put a 1 in the chat, because the Reformation is where we are as it relates to what their whole game plan is. If you look at how they, meticulously crafted and formed what they have now, Reformation, that particular period was vital. It goes on to say that first as cardinal in his doctrinal post in the Vatican and later as Pope, Benedict acted to develop a unified church response to stop this increasingly public clerical sex abuse crisis. Benedict reiterated the church's traditional conservative positions on important doctrinal issues like abortion, contraception, homosexuality, euthanasia, and the priesthood, which is why he was the last cat. He angered some Muslims in 2006 in the speech to Regensburg in Regensburg, Germany, which he was interpreted by some anti-Islam afterwards. He worked to build more bridges between the two faiths. Many Catholics loved and respected him until death. His successor, Pope Francis, frequently spoke fondly of him, and during his trip to Malta in 22 of April, described him as a prophet for predicting that the Catholic Church of the future would become smaller, but more spiritual, poorer, and less political. I haven't seen that. Benedict's snow white hair, soft-spoken manner, and the love for cats. Don't they love cats in Egypt? Anyway, and classical music, especially piano, helped endear him to many. Wow. We've had a lot of stuff go on. That's one of them. Only Mars Fool's Gold. Yeah, he was the actual Pope. There's a lot of technicalities. A lot of technicalities that I don't want to burden you with while you are trying to drink champagne with your honey bunch. For those of you who follow the Gregorian calendar. But There was a lot of stuff that was covered up. There was a lot of legalities. There was a lot of loopholes. There was a lot of questions when what he did when he did what he did. Again, he lived there at the Vatican. It's very unheard of, obviously, because no one has ever passed up the opportunity to continue being the Pope and pass the gauntlet on to someone else. And the cat that they passed it on to was quite creepy. Well, well, well. Let's see. Rage Against the Machine says they would play hell trying to get me to bow down and kiss the Pope's hand. Yeah. Kiss the ring is what they want you to do. Austria are asking the public to report conspiracy theorists speaking against that. Yeah, well, you know what that means, that they've thrown some money in their direction. I want to tell you that I believe that money being thrown into a lot of different organizations and groups' direction was the reason why we ended up with the stuff that we ended up having right now. I talked to a homeless woman about 3 weeks ago, could have even been about 2 weeks. And she was homeless and jobless. You see, the company that she worked for cajoled her to get said situation taken care of so she could continue working. And only 1 month later, they let her and several other people who they cajoled to do said thing go. Because, of course, they needed to get their PPP money in line. And she was a goner. Subsequent to that, she lost her housing. So there's that. There is that. Right? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Lady M, how you been? David went up against Goliath. He was just a boy. Yeah. Well, you guys, I'm going to let y'all go ahead and hug on and snuggle on your loved ones. For those of you who this is your New Year's, you guys love one another and take care of each other. Please, 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 please. There's no telling what's going to happen in 2023. Will there be more lockdowns? Will there not be any? Will there be another illness, as we've seen, propagated in the underground media, which we all know about? What's going on? What's going to happen? Who knows? But the one thing I want to tell you is one thing for sure. And that is that we need to remember who is in control of all that concerns us. And that is the Father. That is the Most High. Period. The circus that they've got going on outside of where we've decided to reside is of no consequence. It's been planned. They do what they do. They've done what they've done, and that's it. Right? Yeah. That's it. So we have to continue to stay close and separate ourselves from the system that is of the beast and align ourselves with the system that is our Father's. Anton, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. So we have got to remember to just watch and intercede for those around us and watch and pray for ourselves. That's what we've got to do. So we're going to go ahead and close down right now, but I wanted to say hi to you all. And it's been an awesome 49 minutes spending this time with you. I want each and every one of you to remember what we always say on any Felicia Lockhart Group publications, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys remember to take care of yourselves. Hey, Precious, how are you doing, sweetheart? I want you guys to remember to take care of yourselves. Willing witness. Everybody go over, if you've not already done so, subscribe to my brother's channel. Support my brother. He is the truth. This guy is the truth. If you've not already done it, do it. If you've already done it, thank you. But I want you guys to take care of yourselves. And then after you take care of yourself, you'll have enough strength to take care of somebody else. Don't let nobody use you. That's going to be another part that I'm adding this year. Don't you let nobody use you because of who they've been to you. This is the year that we make sure that we soberly walk into taking care of ourselves and then looking at who you got to select who you need to take care of, because there's a lot of folks out there that will lose you, that will use you, that will allow you to lose your happiness, your peace, your joy, simply because they're attached to you by some form of DNA, family members, loved ones, and things of that nature. Not everybody that calls themselves your family member loves you like you know you love them. What I'm trying to tell you is 2023, baby, you better take care of yourself. And then you can reach around and take care of somebody else. And until you and I see one another again, please continue to be blessed. Take care. Black perspective.